Number one, Ed Lawson. I am running for mayor. As many of you may know, Ron Smith passed away in 2020, and I was the mayor pro tem at the time, so that made me the mayor. Well, I've been the mayor for 2 years now. I always wanted to be the mayor since the day I got elected, and it was always my plan to move into this spot. The mayor of Sparks is a little different in that we don't have term limits because we don't have a vote. So in Reno, the mayor votes, and they have a 7-member council. In Sparks, we have a 5-member council plus the mayor. The mayor is considered part of the executive branch, which means there's no term limits. In Nevada state law, it says the term limits are on the legislative branch. So people who can vote are the ones that have term limits. So quite frankly, it kind of works out in our favor. There's a mayor in Fallon, Tedford, who's been there, I think, since Fallon was incorporated. I mean, he's been there forever, and he's a beloved mayor in the area because there's consistency there. And that consistency over a long period of time, many decades in his case, that helps keep the city on track and keeps the vision going. One of the things, I know a lot of you have heard me give my vision speech, and many of you haven't. But one of the things that I really wanted to do, I'm not doing this for the money, by the way. If you know what the mayor of Sparks makes, I took a pretty substantial pay cut. But I'm doing it because I love my community. I love where I live. I love the people in Sparks, and I love even though we're becoming a bigger town, we're 108,000 people now. When I first moved to Sparks, probably around 60,000. So we've seen a huge change in 30 years. But I just love that small town feel. And we preserve that by one of the things we just did in conjunction with my Rotary Club that Mike Hicks is a member of. We built another all abilities park at play park for the kids at the Sparks Marina. What a cool site that is. Every single time I drive by that, the place is packed with kids and families. And it just makes my heart feel good to see all that. And these are kids with special needs. The day when we did the ribbon cutting, it was so cool to see some of these special needs and autistic kids that the equipment is built for them. And what a great respite for their caregivers to have an enclosed, locked area. I mean, they're not locked in, but there's a latch, but it's hard for them to reach. But it's an area where you don't have to worry about them getting lost or wandering away if as we all do, get busy on our phone and do something. But the fact that everybody is there with that in mind, just to treat the kids well. So that kind of makes me very, very proud. November 4th, in Mayor Smith's honor, we're going to be opening the Nevada Veterans Memorial, which happens to be about 50 feet away from this play park. And that's a place where we're going to honor all of our fallen veterans from every war since inception of the state of Nevada. So there's somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, Donald, 900 and something. You're right. Thank you. I'm usually close, but it's a really cool area in that it's got some reflecting areas. It's got every county in the state of Nevada, and then there's bricks from the sponsors. So on November 4th at 3 o'clock, if you guys are in the mind to do it, it's going to be quite a deal to see that happen. We're going to have General Pearl from the Nevada Air Guard will be there, and maybe General Andre Berry. So the General Berry is there. He's a whirlwind, one of the most dynamic speakers I've ever met. So let's talk about the vision real quick. The vision is we need to grow in the city of Sparks. We are currently out of land. Let me just say that. We are out of land. What happens when you run out of land? Then you got to build up. When you build up, things get more expensive. So we're literally in this place as we run out of land, and about 2027 is what the studies showed us, that now we have to do infill. So we're tearing down buildings and we're building up. And when you go up, we become to start to look like San Francisco. Now, the reason why I raised my kids in Spark is because I like that small town feel, and I don't want to be in San Francisco. So we have to have this lands bill. The lands bill is something I've been working on for probably 4 years total, but in the last 22 months, I've really stepped it up, and I've given over 50 speeches to thousands of people to talk about the lands bill, why it's so important. One of the pieces of the lands bill, what we want to do, let me back up, is on the city of Sparks, our industrial land that's along the river. Everybody in America would love to have a river run through their city. We have one with concrete on it. So I want to take that industrial area, move it to the east, move it closer to Story County, where the employment center is. How many people know how many jobs are in Story County right now? Around 50,000. So those 50,000 people, the majority of them live with us. So they're commuting from Reno+Sparks out to Story County. And, you know, you've seen the mess on I-80 in the mornings and evenings. So we want to put a road in from La Posada, which is the northernmost border of Sparks, over to USA Parkway, and then connect that with the North Valleys in Reno. So what that allows us to do is cut the commute in half for all those folks that are going out there. It allows us to take them off of the interchange, the spaghetti bowl, and we save, if we just get 10,000 cars a day on that, we save 25 tons in carbon emissions. So it's helping our air quality by building a road. You would think those are counterintuitive, but they're not. Building a road actually helps our air quality because you're not slowing down, you're not stuck in traffic, and the commute is shorter. So all those factors make a huge difference. So we put our industrial out there. One of the things we haven't done in a long time is what's called a special assessment district. We started one recently with the Five Ridges project, which is on Highland Branch Road and Pyramid. It's the old aggregate pit up on top. They're using it for their infrastructure. That's how we're going to build out the easternmost part of Sparks that will be in the lands bill. So what that allows us to do is everybody who purchases the land is going to pay the bonds on all that infrastructure. But we're also, if you've heard, we're okay on water in, water out, not so much. We need a new sewer plant. So we want to put the sewer plant up there also. That will also be paid for by those developers and the people who end up buying that land up there. So it makes perfect financial sense for the region. It's not costing our taxpayers currently any money. And in the long run, we save the environment. And I think it's huge. In that piece that's out there is around 40,000 acres I've identified, or we've identified, excuse me. About 9,000 acres is what's called area of environmental concern, and that's mostly petroglyphs. So we want to preserve those petroglyphs, preserve that land, and give that to the tribe, whichever tribe wants it, and hopefully make that into a learning center. So we can teach our kids about the natives that lived here long before us and some of their habits and how they moved around this area. Because the Washoe tribe, especially, you know, when they were in Incline, they're, you know, east of Sparks and out of Pyramid. So they rotated around with the seasons. So to me, that's it just pays tribute to those folks. And to me, I think it's important for our kids to know that kind of stuff. How much time do I have?
Have 6 minutes on the dot.
6 minutes. Okay, let's talk about the flood project. Part of the issue with industrial area in Spark is you have to insulate up to 4 feet and make your building waterproof. So with the flood project, what we want to do when we put the residential overlay on that industrial area is we'll do podium style housing, which means parking underneath, housing on top. And that way you're not in the floodplain at all. But with the flood project, we'll actually eliminate the flooding for a 100-year flood in the industrial area. I happen to work down there for YESCO January 1st of 1997. And we had 3.5 feet in our shop, ruined a whole lot of equipment and a lot of product. So it's a well-needed, much deserved product. What we did when the flood board was, and by the way, I'll be the chair of that. No, Donald will be the chair of that next January, probably, hopefully. You will be. Trust me. We've taxed ourselves an eighth of a cent. And so what that generates for us was roughly around $9 million a year. We're only spending about 2 million of that between plans and salaries for staff and all that. So we're putting away $8 million. And so at this point, the last I heard, we're just over $50 million in the bank. What it's going to take to do the project is around 180 million. So we only will have to bond that difference between what we have in the bank and what it takes to complete the project. And there's no additional cost. You guys are already paying the eighth of a cent. You don't even know it's there. And it's to me, we're like this close. We get the tribe involved, a pyramid tribe involved, then when that happens, the project will happen. So, and we're, like I said, we're this close on permitting. All right, what else? What else is? I'm going to open it up for questions because I could talk all day about Spark. Yes, sir.
What type of pushback are you getting with regard to the lands bill? On the surface of it, the sounds, I mean, it's entires. Are you getting pushback on it?
You know, you get pushback on no matter what. If I took you to lunch, we'd probably have pushback on where we went to lunch. So it's there's always pushback. But what I have heard recently, I don't even know if I should say this, but the Sierra Club was against it and now has changed their movement. So that's a big deal for us. I think they understand that if we don't grow, I mean, if you look at Las Vegas has been expanding. Well, we haven't had that same opportunity up here. This will be the first lands bill, and I don't even know when. So it's important for us to have some place to go to. What that will do for us is give us 30 to 50 years of growth potential. So we'll leave that. I'll be long dead and in my grave, and we'll leave that to future generations to handle. Yes, sir.
Quick follow-up. What time frame are you looking at for where this all take place?
I thought we were on the 5-yard line this year, and then we got sacked. And now it's not going to happen this year. I've been assured that it'll be taken up in the next Congress right away, which is February timeframe. It has to happen for us. Just the environmental impact study, which we had just talked with Kazmierski, we're going to start an environmental impact study on the road, if nothing else. That's 3 to 5 years. So by the time we start structuring everything, we're going to be past our 2027 deadline of running out of land. So it's the time to do it is today. If we wait 4 years, then you've got another 3 to 5 or 6 year delay. So it's important that we get it done. I think that Senator Masto understands it. I know that Jackie Rosen understands it, and I've gotten great support from them. And of course, Congressman Amade has been a big supporter too. Yes, Ann.
Mayor, when you talk about growth, are you talking about primarily residential growth, business growth, or combination of both?
We need more business growth. And here's the reason why. You know, the property tax system works in Nevada. When you buy your home, that's the property tax value for the rest of your house's life. And then you get depreciated 3% or 1.5% every year. But we can only raise your property tax by 3%. So we're trying to run a city on 1.5% property tax increase. As you know, what's the effective of inflation is around 12 or 13% right now. We're way behind that 8 ball. So we need to change that at the state level. I was very pleased to hear that some of our assembly people are willing to take that up, and even Governor Sisolak and Joe Lombardo are both willing to take it up too. And what we want to do is just say, at the time of sale, your property tax resets to the value of the house on the day it's sold. So the guy across the street from me who just paid $450,000 for his house, I paid $150 for mine. He pays the same amount of property tax. So the city can never catch up with this type of a program. We need that reset. Most people sell their house about on average 7 to 10 years. So that would keep that constant, keep us up with it. We abate meaning money we do not collect for property tax, about $6.5 to $7 million a year. Now for us, that represents 8% of our general fund budget. For me, that represents 30 police and firemen. It's a big deal. Yes, ma'am.
Beyond running out of room and land, what other issues do you see facing the Sparks community that maybe is, it's the computer saving right now, we hear about how homelessness doubled in the last year in Reno. I'm just wondering if there's similar effects in Sparks or.
It's affordable housing. That's the main issue. And let's just be clear, there's only two kinds of housing. There's subsidized and there's market rate. You can call affordable, workforce, all that stuff. All those definitions mean nothing. I mean, I can make it affordable if you want to live in a closet. It still costs $500 a square foot to build a house. So we can make the smallest house we could build to be able to put a bathroom in it. And that's about it. You know, so what we need to do, and what I'm working on, and I am the chair of the Regional Transportation Commission, is we're looking at, we've got 40 acres up on Clear Acre. As you come off the freeway, it's already on a bus route. We're looking to give that land to the Northern Nevada Trades Council, who, by the way, supported me for my job, which is a first for Trades Council supporting a Republican mayor. But we're going to give that land to them. The ACLU or AFL-CIO. Which one is? AFL-CIO has a finance program where they'll finance that over 50 years. The trades will build the products. So they'll build the houses and apartments and condos, and then they'll maintain them. So that it's continually with the apprenticeship rolling through this, and it'll be subsidized housing in perpetuity. A lot of you see, oh, we just built a subsidized housing. That's usually only good for 20 to 30 years. Reno's seeing a lot of their subsidized housing from the early 2000s is going back to market rate, which is also helping to raise rates on everything also. So it's the only real way to do it is to give them the land, build it at the least amount of cost. I like the idea of training. Not everybody's going to be a doctor. Not everybody wants to be a carpenter. So people who want to be carpenters should be carpenters, and the doctors should be doctors. And then we need a good mix of everybody. As you know, during our recession, we lost our trades. They left this area in droves. They were making a lot of money back in those days, but not any longer. Now they can't afford to come back. You know, so we got this structural deficit where a median house is, well, 600,000. Median household income is 85,000, but it takes 140,000 to buy a median house. So you've got this whole half, 3/4 of the population that can't afford to buy a house here. And we're losing another generation of children because they can't afford to live here.
Thanks for coming today, Mayor. Very much appreciated. Years ago, there was a plan for like the Lazy 8 casino, and we're going further out into Sparks and the Wayfield and other places as far as potentially having a larger casino type project be built. Have you seen that come to the city? Has there been an interest? I know that everything that's happening around the room is fantastic, but do you see it creeping into the neighborhood at all?
I don't. I mean, we're out of land. It's really that simple. I mean, guy who owns a whole bunch of little casinos, and his name escapes me at the moment, but he had a meeting. We brought him in the office and he showed me 2 pieces of property that he wants. I said, we need to talk to the landowners. And he said, well, I did. And he didn't like their price. So I don't see it happening. And the bad part about that, that's a restricted gaming license, meaning it can only be in the city of Sparks. So, you know, he's going to have a license that's not usable, that we're not collecting taxes on. Come on, you guys got to be tougher now.
I mean, and we know the mayor has a vote. Sparks I mean, we're not similar always, but it seems interesting. That's such a big difference.
What I have is veto power. So I can veto a vote, so that they passed something that I think was crazy, which doesn't happen, it's never happened in my 12 years. I don't know that's happened more than maybe once or twice in the history of Sparks. But I veto, they can override the veto with 4/5 of the vote. So, and that's the only power I have. Other than that, I'm the one who executes contracts. I sign for, the ribbon cuttings, kissing hands and shaking babies. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor, for taking this time with us. For those who don't know me, I'm Blake Penn, the new president of United Way. One of the things that I've been doing, I've been on staff for about 19 days now, hoping to make it to 20. And I've been talking to a lot of our folks in the community, especially people like Ann, who I now consider a mentor. I've been told by pretty much everybody that I've sat down with, community leaders, business leaders, that if we're going to focus our social community works on something, it needs to be towards workforce development. I heard you say a few things about that. What is your kind of wide view lens take on where we're at with workforce development and kind of where we're at in terms of being able to supply new employers with the employees that they need to take those jobs?
That's been a focus in this area for 10, 12, 14 years. It's hard to do because, as I said, that structural deficit, our median household income and the price of housing. You're just not going to pay a worker $85,000 and then have your wife go to work for making $85,000 to do some of those lower end jobs. We're in a real big conundrum. It's being exacerbated by the fact that people are leaving the Bay Area in droves. They're selling their home that they, here would have cost $100,000. They're selling it for $1.5 million, $2.5 million, coming here, buying a house cash, putting the money in the bank and retiring. We're not getting their brain power either. So they're not in the workforce. So consequently, everyone around here is suffering. We have over 80 positions open at the city of Sparks today. I got 8 fire positions and 12 policeman positions open today. That's a problem for us. We are doing pretty good on the policemen in that we've done digital advertising all around the country, but we're getting lateral transfers. So we don't have a lot of money invested in them, getting them trained, and they're coming in, they're able to help us right away. But it's not a position that anyone wants any longer. We went through the whole Black Lives Matter and all the Antifa and all the things that happened, and the police, defund the police, and they were disrespected. And there's a sad part is we lose probably 1 officer a year to mental health. They get so much stress or so much disrespect on the street, or we had one kid, I felt bad for him. He went through the academy, did very well on the street for 10 days, walked in and quit, but he couldn't take it after 10 days. So it's a stressful job. We've asked them to be everything from camp counselor to executioner in some cases.
Mental health coordinator.
And everything in between. So one of the things that we're doing at the city of Sparks is we've allocated $800,000 just for mental health for our employees, with an emphasis on the police department. We also hired 2 MOST officers, their mobile outreach safety team, which is basically a psychologist that rides along with police officers. We have 2 per shift, and it's had a dual benefit. One, when we go to a domestic violence, the MOST officer can be involved and have the skills to deal with that. But when they're not on those type of calls, they're having a conversation with the police. So we're having a double benefit from having the MOST officers out there. It's working for us.
How can we back you up?
Get me elected. You can't do anything if I'm sitting on the outside. I put a lot of effort into this job because I love it. I absolutely love this job. I love the people I work with. I mean, Donald Abbott is one of my favorite people in the world. Yeah. When I met Donald for the first time, I said, "You don't have a chance in hell winning." And he goes, oh, yes. And he shows me all these crackers. He goes, see? I said, yeah, sure. He won. He won. We call him landslide because he won by less than 1%, but he won. And that's all that matters. Donald's done a wonderful job. Our whole council is absolutely awesome. We all have the same view of our job. We are trying to make Sparks a family-oriented community. And I don't care what your family looks like, what color, gay, straight, doesn't matter to me. This doesn't matter. As long as you want to raise your family in the city of Sparks, we want you to come live with us. And I think that's the best part about what we do. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Hendry from Reno Health. Thank you for being here. I love the Sparks logo, and I'm wondering if you can talk about any of your branding efforts for tourism, for getting other people to visit Sparks.
So it's happening here. That's what our logo is. I think a lot of people forget, we have the Golden Eagle Recreation Park and with the baseball fields and the football fields, and then we have the 6 softball fields. Those 6 softball fields generate 50,000 room nights a year from people visiting us from all over the country. We're 95% programmed at Golden Eagle Recreation. That translates into about a $25 million regional impact. So we don't realize just what a gem we have right in our backyard. And then, of course, the Sparks Marina, which was this close to being a super fun cleanup, is now one of the probably the biggest, brightest parts of Sparks. So we've done some good jobs.
All right, that's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.